Will Byers' self-acceptance in his sexuality and finding love in his family and Mike unlocks his powers in Season 5. And let's go over these scenes and explain it a little bit. Beyond this scene being an obvious parallel to Mike and Elle in Season 3 when they were standing behind the group and flirting in the background, we have the same here with Mike and Will as they stay behind and flirt. And this scene is also a throwback to Season 2 where Mike was talking to Will about how he's basically a super spy now.
Maybe that's good. Good. Just think about it, Will. You're like a spy now. A super spy.
So maybe when you tap into the hive, you can pull the strings too. You know, you're like a wizard, like him.
In D&D, Mike, not real life.
True. In real life, you're more like a sorcerer, because your powers don't come from a book of spells, they're innate.
It's also important to note that Joyce says this line directly before this scene.
Sometimes people need someone to believe in them. And they can do amazing things. They can do amazing things.
Mike and Will share a look, which was referenced earlier in the season as signs that somebody likes you. But beyond that, this line is really important because it shows that Mike believes in Will.
In real life, you're more like a sorcerer, because your powers don't come from a book of spells, they're innate.
The problem is, Will doesn't believe in himself. He has the people around him, his mom, his family, and his best friend who love him and they believe in him. He just doesn't believe in himself. And right in the scene, he's held back with shame because he doesn't like that he's gay. He feels like a mistake because of it. Even Vecna says it later.
Some Byers, it turns out, simply do not belong in this world.
And we know this as a viewer because Vecna shows Will his own memories, those two memories that directly correspond to his sexuality. One, him destroying Castle Byers, which was caused because of his fight with Mike in a previous scene, in which Mike says, "It's not my fault you don't like girls." And the second scene being the van scene where Will hides his own feelings for Mike because he feels ashamed and like he's a mistake for being gay. And this is something that Robin, who is a lesbian, can relate to, and she picks up on his feelings in the scene.
By any chance remember Tammy Thompson?
Robin begins to tell Will about her first crush, the one that awakened her sexuality and how she found out she was a lesbian.
It was like a scene from some Lamo movie. You know, her hair blew in the wind and she just looked perfect. So goddamn perfect. And, it was right then and there that I knew she was the one. That with Tammy, I would finally be able to be myself, you know, all of myself.
Ironically, this dialogue about Tammy actually parallels what Mike says in his monologue.
I feel like my life started that day we found you in the woods. You were wearing that yellow Benny's Burgers t-shirt, and it was so big it almost swallowed you whole. And I knew right then and there, in that moment, that I loved you.
Because there was always this part of me that kind of scared me, you know? But I thought that if Tammy loved me, all of me, you know, I wouldn't be so scared anymore.
And this dialogue also parallels Mike and Elle again, with Mike saying this in the van scene.
What if after all this is over, she doesn't need me anymore?
She'll always need you, Mike.
I keep telling myself that, but I don't believe it. I don't know. I just...
You're scared of losing her.
I find it interesting that this whole conversation is reminding us of Mike and his conversations about Elle and his feelings on how he's afraid that if she doesn't love him, he'll feel like he's not needed. He feels insecure on who he is. He says this.
And one day she's gonna realize that I'm just some random nerd that got lucky that Superman landed on his doorstep.
And my entire fantasy life with her, along with the rest of my life, pretty much imploded before my eyes.
The exact same fear Mike was expressing. If he's not with Elle, his fantasy life will implode in front of his eyes. Of course, all this dialogue relates to Will, because Will is going through that in the scene as well. He's giving up on his fantasy life of playing D&D for the rest of his life with Mike. But he didn't have to, because Mike was going through the same thing at the same time.
It was never about don't have him. It was always just about me. I was looking for answers in somebody else, but I had all the answers. Just needed to stop being so goddamn you know? Like I could finally be
Rock, Robin.
yeah, rocking around it.
Self-acceptance. Self-acceptance in your sexual identity. That is the lesson that Robin was trying to pass on to Will. The key to unlocking his powers was accepting himself.
Turn around. Look at what you see.
In their face, the mirror of your dreams.
Shut up, you guys.
Rhymes that keep their secrets. All behind the clouds.
The use of Neverending Story was purposefully cut off in multiple scenes. I pieced it together along with several other people on the internet, and it basically said the key. The key was always self-acceptance. Self-acceptance of your sexual identity, literally there upon a rainbow. The only time you've seen two characters upon a rainbow is when Mike and Will are above the rainbow sleeves that Max has. And ironically, it actually was a thing. I mean, this is really cool to see this payoff of this hidden code in the songs actually be used as a plot point in season 5 in the finale, here unlocking Will's powers by learning self-acceptance of his sexual identity. That is insane. But while this unlocked Will's powers, I want to point out that there's two upon the rainbow, and that's Mike. I have a feeling it's gonna loop around to this dialogue from season 3.
It turns out getting to Mike, that was the key.
And that's just it, right? Mike and Will aren't together yet, the story is not over yet, and the viewer may or may not know if Mike is into guys yet. But then we also have this dialogue, which, Duffer Brothers, I can't believe you're making me analyze this dialogue, but here you go.
Did you finally hit dick?
Hit the dick. Yep. Let's just hope it's not too hard.
Yes, this is a funny joke, but yep, let's just hope it's not too hard. Without it being in the dirty context, let's just hope it's not too hard to hit Mike, to find out if Mike is gay, to get through to Mike. That is the undertone here. That is the hidden meaning right in front of our faces. I got it immediately, but let's see if the general audience does too.
If it is, I'll soften it.
I think this is a little cheeky joke to the audience from the Duffer Brothers. I also think it might be hinting that Lucas will be doing something to Mike to get him to come to terms with his sexuality or break through his obliviousness, because Mike is so oblivious. And that is how this beautiful message of self-acceptance of one's sexuality being the thing that empowered Will to unlock his powers, as well as waiting for that second bit with Mike that will be coming soon. Until the next analysis video.
Listen, as far as crazy theories go, I've had crazier.